Hello all, welcome to my channel. Today our agenda is discussion of the interview questions which are asked in LTI Mindtree, which is nothing but LTM, and the position is Microsoft Fabric Data Engineer, and the round is L1, and it is happened here in 2025 December. And the candidate whoever attended for the interview, they have received offer letter as well from LTI Mindtree after completion of all 3 rounds successfully. So guys, here is the first question which is asked by the interview in LTM Mindtree for Fabric Data Engineer position. This is L1 round. I would like to hear from you your exposure and experience in data engineering as a whole. And also if you could emphasize your exposure in Microsoft Fabric, because this particular position we especially looking at someone who is very expert in the Microsoft Fabric. So the first question which is asked by the interviewer is the introduction as well as what are the projects handled and the overall experience on Microsoft Fabric especially. So the candidate whoever attended for this interview, that candidate is especially expert in the Microsoft Fabric, and she attended for the Microsoft Fabric data engineer position. So for this question, no, what answer you have to tell is like your introduction. Even it is not only for Microsoft Fabric position, for any position you have to give your experience, your overall experience, myself so and so, and I have been working on this Microsoft Fabric from past 2 years or 3 years, and I have handled end-to-end projects, and I have worked for multiple customers, and I have worked on multiple data sources. Like that, you have to tell your overall experience and especially in a particular domain. So that is the first question which is asked by the interviewer. And the next question is asked by the interviewer is, so what I understand that you are having exposure and working with multiple type of customers from different domains. Since the candidate told that she worked on she worked with multiple customers and multiple projects in the Microsoft Fabric. So the interviewer asked the second question is, you are having exposure and working with multiple type of customers from different domains. She said yes, since she worked on multiple domains. And the next question is asked by the interviewer is, if I understand correctly, as the fabric is an umbrella, it is, and it is an umbrella term, right? It having the data pipelines, Spark, the event house, lake houses, warehouses, and then Power BI. So you have worked on all of them. Since the candidate has worked on all the artifacts, she said yes, I have worked on all the artifacts. For example, if you have worked on a particular artifact like data pipelines or warehouses, or particularly on the Power BI, or particularly on the notebook PySpark, so you can tell I have worked on a particular artifact or particular workload. Since the candidate have worked on all the artifacts, she have deep knowledge on all the artifacts, she said yes, I have worked on all the artifacts almost. Now the interviewer next replied that great, that works as an intro. So now let's go on by one. So the next question which is asked by the interviewer is, so let's suppose here you just mentioned that you are providing solutions to migrate from Azure Data Factory or Synapse to Fabric, right? So why this question has been asked by the interviewer is, the candidate while giving the interview, while giving the introduction, she mentioned that I used to work on the migration projects. If the customer is having their pipelines in Azure Data Factory or Synapse, we used to migrate that pipelines to the Fabric with some accelerators, like that she mentioned. Because of that, the next question he asked this one. So the question is, so you are providing some solutions to migrate the ADF pipelines or Synapse pipelines to Fabric, right? She said yes. So the next immediate question is, so say for example, I am having a similar requirement. Okay, so you don't need to go command by command like copy data activity to copy data like that. So like this is supported, this is not supported, like that. You no need to go by each command by command. But on a broad perspective, what are the considerations you are going to take? It means what the question means. For example, if you have 10 or 15 activities in your ADF pipeline or Synapse pipeline, copy data for each wait activity or set variable activity like that. So uh, I mean, in each and every pipeline, you cannot go through each and every activity and you cannot migrate that, right? So, while starting that migration, in the broader perspective, what considerations we have to consider? I mean, what are the things we have to take care? So that is the question. So the candidate given answer is like we have some accelerators in our company, so that we have some code, some PySpark notebook code we have. So if we can run that code simply in Synapse or ADF environment, then it will give you what and all the list of activities in the pipeline, and that activities is supported in the fabric or not. For example, if you take mm, Azure batch, so are some logic apps, so that concept in ADF we have, but the same concept logic apps are eliminated in the fabric. So such type of activities which are supported in the fabric and which are not supported in the fabric, that can give, I mean, our PySpark code can give you such type of information, and it will list out all the information, because we have built that accelerator in our company. That what she mentioned. So for that answer, the next question came from the interviewer is, since the candidate told that accelerator, the continuation question which interviewer has asked is, maybe as a term you are right extensively in fabric, so that accelerator is available. Some people they put their efforts and they created it, but it is not always possible to have the accelerator, right? And it is not, if you just consider from ADF perspective, there might be some accelerator, but it comes with pros and cons, and the client environment might be very much restricted, so they might not go for any additional, that permissions level can be different, and some of the accounts which we are dealing with, they are especially related to finance data, so that is extremely sensitive to them, even they are having like a very minute access control over there. So I don't think that in those cases you will get a chance to scan their repos. You're actually virtually scanning their repositories, right? So maybe GitHub or your DevOps repository, and then you are taking the dump, and you are then having some algorithms which is checking that what are the things which is supported, not supported, and coming up with a detailed report. But for example, that accelerator is not available, that particular piece of code is not there right now, so that will take some time, right? So definitely you will take some time. So in that case, if I ask you that from ADF to fabric, what are the things on your broad level you need to consider? So what interviewer told that in all the clients environments, I mean, especially like the finance or banking domains, they are not allow us to do some accelerators and all. So whatever interviewer asked, that is the exactly right thing. So in all environments we are not allowed to use all the accelerators and all. So if you want to do it manually, what and all the broader perspective things which you need to consider? So that question he again asked. So for that, no, what the candidate given the in yeah, so what candidate, for that, no, what candidate has given our answer is, yeah, so in that case, if you want to do like manual migration and all, first we have to consider the source and destination. What is the source and what is the destination? If you want to do migration from ADF or Synapse to fabric, you have to consider for source and destination. So what is the source and what is the destination? And data sets and linked services. So data sets and linked services concept was there in ADF, but that is not there here in the fabric. So whatever the linked services and data sets that are converted into your connections here in the fabric, that we have to consider. And not supported activities, whatever there, no, we have to list out those not supported activities, and we have to find out the alternate activity or alternate approach for those particular activities. So that answer given by the candidate. So the next question which is asked by the interviewer is, okay, so say for example in fabric you are going to access some very sensitive information, right? So say for example during your pipeline you are having one notebook which gets executed and which encrypt the data, and you are having the encryption key to be stored in Azure Key Vault. So key vault is not a native member of the fabric. It is not a native member, obviously. So any Microsoft to Microsoft connection can be set up easily if it is under the same subscription. But in code, how you can fetch that key vault? So for this question, no, what the candidate has given, I may not be 100% correct, but as per my knowledge, if you want to import already existed key vaults, so since a key vault is ADF concept, absolutely I agree for that. But if you want to import that key vaults which are there in your ADF, we can able to bring that key vaults by importing those. So while creating the connection, we have an option that is Azure Key Vault integration. So by integrating that, yes, we can able to bring that. That answer the candidate has given. And the next question asked by the interviewer is, okay, could you tell me what is the difference between shortcuts and mirroring? So in the fabric, there are two concepts actually. One is shortcut and the second one is mirroring. What is the difference between those two means? Uh, for example, if you take shortcut will not bring the data from your source to the fabric. Only it will create one connection point or one access point to access the data. Still the data is there in your source, but you can able to access that data in your fabric via shortcut. But when it comes to mirroring, no, it will completely move or copy the data from source to the fabric destination. It will not create any reference point like your shortcut. It will move your data to the destination when you use mirroring. And if you delete the shortcut, when it comes to shortcut, if you delete the shortcut, your data will break and that reference point will break, and whatever the reports which you have created on top of the shortcut data, that reports also will automatically breaks. But when it comes to mirroring, the mirroring, if you stop mirroring the data or if you stop mirroring the database, whatever the data comes till that day or till that time, that data will still remains available in the fabric. And even if you created any reports on top of that mirroring data, that reports still works till yesterday if you stop mirroring today. That is the difference between your shortcut and mirroring. Now the next question asked by the interviewer is, okay, so while I am going to create a shortcut, is there any size limit or data size limit? So the answer given by candidate is no. As per my knowledge, there is no size limit or data limit while creating the shortcut. It is only depending upon your capacity of the fabric. So if it is F64 or more than that, then you can able to any number of shortcuts and any volume of the data. I mean, it depends upon your fabric capacity. So further, the continuation question which is asked by the interviewer is, okay, I guess there is a size limit. So what he thought is there was a size limit while creating the shortcut. So I mean, like 1.5 year back when he used, the version of the fabric. I mean, the older version of the fabric. So he faced that size limit. So that's why he given this answer. Okay, I guess there is a size limit. I don't know which version you are using as of now, because there was a size limit definitely when I worked in a fabric in 1.5 months ago. That is the last time I accessed. So what the candidate replied for this is, maybe it is the earlier days of the fabric, since that is like 1.5 year back, but now there was no such limit. There is no such type of limit in the fabric. You can able to access any volume of the data via shortcut. Now, the next question which is asked by the interviewer is, do you know what is metadata mirroring? The answer given by candidate is yes, I know metadata mirroring, and it can be used in Databricks as well as in Fabric. But in Fabric at this moment it is not available. But in Databricks, yes, we can use it. It is a Unity catalog, we call it as. So it will scan all your data and it will give you your all the information which is related to your data. That is metadata mirroring, nothing but your Unity catalog. That answer given by the candidate. Now, The next question which is asked by the interviewer is, do you have any exposure on SQL and Event House? Since the candidate have experience and exposure on Event House and KQL, she has given the answer. Yes, I have exposure on KQL and Event House. So KQL nothing but your Kusto query language which can be used in KQL databases for the real-time intelligence. And Event House, yes, it is also can be used for the real-time streaming data. Now the immediate question interviewer asked is, do you know RTI? Yes. The candidate said, yes, I know RTI. It's real-time intelligence, which can be used to analyze the streaming data. I didn't get a chance to work on RTI at this moment because many customers still not using RTI because of costly, but I have good exposure on RTI as well. That answer given by the inter that answer given by the candidate. Now the next question is, okay, my next question is going to be, say for example, I am having some data sources. This is a Spark specific question. Are you comfortable with Spark? Because in notebooks we use Spark SQL and PySpark as well. Even you can use R and other languages. Mostly those are the common language which is getting used. So do you have exposure in PySpark? The candidate said, yes, I have good exposure on PySpark. Now, the next question asked by the interviewer is, okay, so have you done any sort of optimization while reading the data or writing the data for any client? Because you worked with multiple clients, so definitely their data volume is not going to be very, very small. Now, in case if you are going to handle those data just to optimize the things in notebook, what are the typical, a very generic thing? There is obviously case to case basis. We might need to go by customized optimization methods. But on a generic sense, what are the basic optimization techniques we typically take whenever we are trying to handle data and a transformation through PySpark notebook? So the question, if understand correctly, guys, like what are the optimization techniques you have used or applied? So for this question, what the candidate has given answer is some optimization techniques she has given. Like while reading the data, we have to read only the required columns, and the second is you have to maintain the partitions, which plays a very important role. And file format also important. You have to read the data, the Parquet or Delta format, and we have to avoid unnecessary shuffles or unnecessary wide transformations, and we have to apply some filters before applying all the joins and all. And we have to avoid unnecessary joins, and we have to avoid unnecessary display commands. So like that we have to give the answer. So some optimization techniques we have to give to the interviewer. Now the next question asked by the interviewer is, I'm just trying to check whether you are having exposure in PySpark. How much depth you are having over there? That's why I'm asking this question. Yeah, you know why the display will take that much of time for printing the data? While a print statement it passes instantaneously, but why display is taking that much of time? Any idea? So for this question, the candidate given answer is, yeah, so display is an action. There are some concepts in PySpark like lazy evaluation and transformations and actions. So here display is an action, but Spark is an lazy evaluation, and until any action occurs it will not trigger immediately. Only it will create the execution plan, and whenever an action occurs then only it will trigger or it will execute. So since display is an action, it will start executing the things whatever there before that code. So after applying all the joins and transformations, then only our display will show the printing statement. So because of that reason it will take some time to display the result, since our Spark is lazy evaluation. Guys, like so guys, like if you want like a more answer, no, you can just Take this question and prepare your own answers as well for the same questions. Now the next question asked by the interviewer is, do you have any idea what sort of data we typically store in warehouse in query inside schema? So there is one admin sort of schema, right? Query insights. So the query insights, it's a default schema in Fabric warehouse. So schema has been provided by Microsoft Fabric for some specific purpose. Information schema is having different purpose. Query insight schema is having some different purpose, and query insight is having different purpose, and some other schemas having different purpose. What is the purpose? Do you know that? So that question asked by the interviewer. Now the candidate has given yes. Maybe I'm not 100% sure for this question, but one is for sure the query inside schema can be used for long running queries. That I can say. So that answer given by the candidate. Now the immediate next question. There are 4 or 5 very important KPIs which can be achieved with that query inside schema. So one is definitely long running queries. I agree. What are the other ones? Could you please try? I don't want to give you the exact list, but at least if you could give me another couple of KPIs. So the interviewer again requested to try your answer. Just try answering this question. So the candidate has given the answer after taking 1 minute time. So one is long running queries, and the second one is frequently used queries, and the third one is oftenly failed queries. So these 3 KPIs she has given, and she said, I'm sorry, I'm only able to tell these 3. One is long running queries, second one is oftenly failed queries, and frequently running queries. So that answer she has given. Now the next continuation, the interviewer was telling, yeah, not a problem. So tell me one thing. Say for example, this is some sort of governance related stuff which I am going to ask you. So say for example, I am having a group of people working in same workspace, but they need different sort of access now. While my typical data engineering team, they need a read and write access across all the layers of your medallion architecture. We are following medallion architecture like silver, gold. Do you know medallion architecture, right? Now there are bronze, silver and gold. They reside in a different schemas but within the same workspace. So now my data analyst team members who is working on the same workspace, they only need read access. They only read access on the gold schema tables. They don't need anything else, right? So what is the way to provide them access so that least amount of access I can be given to them? It should be like as less as I can give them. But there what is going to be done? They need to have read access on the gold tables only. Typically what is the process for analyst? They don't bother about your bronze and silver, right? What type of access is for data engineers? What I have to do over there? Which type of access you can give and how can you handle the situation? So this is the very practical question which the interviewer actually asked, and you know, as per his question, so what the candidate has understood is like there are 2 teams. One is data engineer team and the data analyst team. So data engineer, if you see the question, you know, data engineer they need read and write access because they used to do transformations and all on top of the data and all the 3 layers, right? So we have to give to all the 3 layers access to the data engineers. And coming to data analyst, the second team, the data analyst is not required all the data access. They only do analysis on top of the gold data. So gold layer access only they require. But all these 3 layers are within the same workspace. How we have to handle this situation? And we have to provide very as much as possible least access to them. How can you do that? It's a very real time scenario, and in day to day also we are doing the same exercise and we used to give same type of access to the teams in the real time. So the answer which is given by the candidate is, there are two teams, right? One is data engineers team who need all three layers of access in workspace, and another team which is data analyst who need only read access to gold schema or gold lakehouse tables. So one good advantage here in the fabric is we can able to control the access in three levels. One is like workspace level access, and the second one is item level access, and the third one is schema level access, or we can say report level access as well. So here, that is very good advantage here in the fabric. We can able to handle the different teams within the same workspace of different level of access. So now the data engineers, since they need all three access, all three layers access of read and write, that's why what I will do, I'll give whole workspace access as a contributor, whole workspace access as a not contributor, as a member I can say, because member is the least privilege, but still you can able to read and write the data. Still they need read and write access. As a member, I can add the data engineering team as a member to the workspace. Now for the data analyst who doesn't need any workspace access, they need only gold data access, I'll give item level access, and that too only to the SQL endpoint, so that they can able to access only SQL endpoint tables to do their analysis. This is a least privilege. Even in the item level access also we can able to control the access. We are not giving any lakehouse access here to the data analyst, only we are giving the SQL endpoint access, so that they can only able to see the tables which are there in the SQL analytics endpoint. That is the answer given by the candidate. Thank you guys. If you want to learn more about Microsoft Fabric, or you want any real-time scenarios, or you want the live data engineering interview questions, or you want Azure data engineering course, all videos and all the playlist I have in my YouTube channel, you can go and watch in my YouTube channel. Please stay tuned for LTI Mindtree real-time interview questions, L1 round and part 2 video, and also L2 and L3 videos. Thank you guys. If you have any queries or you need any other topics, please post in the comments, or you can reach out to the below email ID. Do like, share and subscribe to my channel, and do remember, with the right data, every challenge has a solution.